Hello everyone, welcome back to Angela's Craft Room. Today I've got this card for you using the Friendship Sweetest Thoughts stamp set. Now I've used a couple of other things. I've used a stencil so I can make my frames, and I've also used a frame stamp. So Stampin' Up don't have like a frame stamp or a stencil, but I will be using a Stampin' Up stamp set, which we're going to use like a male theme this next time. So this is a frame stencil which I found through Darkroom Door, and you can get all different stencils. It doesn't have to be Darkroom Door. If you find any stencils and you've got frames like that in it, you can do this technique. And also the other thing is a frame stamp. With Darkroom Door, they make the frame stamp and then they make the matching stencil to go with it. So that's what the part of the card we're doing today. I'm going to show you how I do the stamp this and use the stencil, and we're going to sponge all the frames, and then in the next video we're going to come back and do the stamping of our images, because some will have to be masked off, and colouring of them. So to start with, I've got the frame stamp on my Misty ready to go. So I'm just going to ink that up in Memento black ink. So I'm just stamping up my frame stamp. I know it's a little bit off camera, but you're not missing out on anything. All I'm doing is just carefully adding the ink to the frame stamp. Usually I've only got to stamp it once. The main thing is to make sure that your frame stamp is straight. So I'm just going to... Now this piece is 5 1/4 inches by 3 7/8 of an inch, and it's the thick Whisper White cardstock. So we're going to bring that down and just hope that that's... So I wouldn't worry about restamping that, that's quite good. So I'm just going to lift that off. Just pop my Misty over there for a minute. Now I've got a little non-stick craft mat that I use for this technique. So I'm just going to pop my stamped image there, and then I just use a little bit of sticky tape. You can use masking tape. And then you just pop a piece there to hold. We just want to hold that down in place. So it's not going to move. Then we're going to put our stencil, put this stencil over it like that, and you just want to line it up the best. So then I'm just going to stick that down. And it's just going to hold your stencil in place. And then what I'm going to use is a little bit of Soft Sky and then just stamp it. So I just use this blending tool and I'm just stamping up there. Just stamp it into the ink pad like that. And I might just grab a piece of scrap paper just so I know how much inks. Now I'm just going to do it in a circular slow motion, and because we're coming off of the stencil it's quite slippery, so it's a really good, gives you a really good texture. So I'm just going to just go over that. And what I might do is, so you're not sitting there watching me do the whole thing, you just go over it like that. And what I'll do is go off camera and I'll sponge all the boxes. And then when I come back, it will be, all the boxes will be sponged. But it's just really, with this technique, with the sponging and this tool, you need to take your time. So because this is going to be a male theme, I'm going to add a little bit of Sahara sand. And I'm not even going to clean my tool. I'm just going to bring in a bit of Sahara sand on the bottom there, and it will show up a bit more on this next frame because I've only done the blue at the top. Now you can see how that's left a bit of a blotch because I went straight on. Instead I should have been starting off the stamp, but you know, just you'll see when I come back that it will be smoothed out, because all it is, you just got to keep going until you get the effect that you want. And I might even add just a little bit of pink Pirouette across the middle. So you can do it like this as well to try and sponge that blotch out, or you can go back into your soft sky and just go over it, and you can see how it's blending in, and it's quite a really good combination, the soft sky and the Sahara sand. So this tutorial mainly was to show you what I'm using, the tools I'm using, and how I sponge the boxes. So I'll just go off and sponge the rest, and then I'll come back and we'll stamp the images and colour them. So thank you for watching this tutorial. This is part 1 of it, and then we'll come back and we'll do part 2.